If the COVID-19 pandemic has done anything good for the gaming community, it's demonstrating the potential of social simulation games. Take Animal Crossing New Horizons for example. It's a game that's been highly praised for helping gamers go through their difficult times of self-isolation by providing a calming and somewhat endless amount of entertainment in the solid form of creativity and immersion. With this said, Castaway Paradise is unfortunately the black sheep of the genre. The opening animation sets an intriguing tone, however the art style is quickly wasted as the rest of the game fails to impress with its direction of graphical style. You're immediately greeted by animals that look like a cross between Lego blocks and Minecraft. This may come as a shock to buyers as somewhat confusing however, as the promotional art for this game is more refined and artistic. The goal of the game is also not clearly defined. The game throws you into a basic mechanical tutorial at the start and then simply tells you to enjoy the game. It would have made more sense if the game had some form of grand objective, such as getting off the island or trying to reach a certain level of development on the island, but unfortunately no such motive is present here. There are some fantastic if not minor mechanics in Castaway Paradise that even Nintendo seems to have forgotten to include in their most recent title. The camera zooms out of your location, allowing you to view the entire island, including areas that are not yet accessible. This is great for when you want to see where the characters are or when you want to plan ahead. The game has a wide range of customization choices for your character, and uses a leveling up system that unlocks new customization options as you progress through the game. This feature honestly made me curious as to what I could unlock and introduced a grind for rewards style of mechanics. This sadly gets overshadowed however by issues that I will be explaining a little later in the review. If you're in the process of planting seeds or fruit but you have run out of them in your holding inventory, the game gives you the option to immediately purchase the missing items as you're farming, which cuts time obtaining said items from the store significantly. I'm looking at you, Animal Crossing. It's worth mentioning however that the balance of currency in this game is an issue. Basic island developments such as planting fruit, flowers and vegetables are unbalanced with incredibly high price points, which causes creativity to be limited as the game does not compensate the player correctly for their efforts with the in-game currency. Any development that you commit to is presented with an in-game timer. Not everything is locked behind a next day cycle, which is great. A disappointing aspect to this is that you have to wait by either turning off the game completely or waiting in real world time within the game. There is no enabling sleep mode here as the timer freezes while the game is in the state. The timer in the game can be as anything as reasonable as a few minutes to lengthy hours at a time. Any item you have can be placed exactly where you want it outside of your character's range. You don't need to be standing next to a space to do this. This is awesome, except that you can't interact with anything unless it has a time mechanic with the timer. Due to this disappointing factor, I honestly found myself not caring about the look of the island or my home, as none of it felt personal or creative. The purpose of sound design of any game is to set a sense of immersion and understanding between the player and the game. Immersion via sound design is not a factor that the developers have considered, and it brutally diminishes the potential of Castaway Paradise because of this problem. There is just a single music track throughout the entire game. There is no switch in music time from the moment you load up the game, enter a building, start missions, or log in at a certain time of day. After the first hour of playtime, I just had to turn off the music due to repetitiveness and headaches. This is when I soon noticed the second major problem with the game. The sound effects are also greatly lacking. Whatever sound design is present within the game is flat and it's rushed. It's understandable that with this game coming from a small-time indie development studio, games like this should be played with some level of forgiveness. But this problem has been created purely out of lack of effort. Nothing sounds rewarding or where it should be. As I was playing, I could feel my mind subconsciously expecting sound effects, but instead I was just being presented with silence. Your avatar has no sound effects of their own, which is an unusual decision for a game of this genre. Games that use mute characters will often implement some form of character speech, as without this the player will be left feeling alienated. Castaway Paradise tries to implement a quest system that falls short of being boring and linear. The quests offered to you are dull and lacking any kind of personalization from the characters who offer them to you. Go pick up an item here, go plant a tree there, go talk to someone else. Rinse and repeat. There isn't much variety to be found. The rewards offered for completing the quests get watered down significantly, as the objects obtained cannot be interacted with in any way. This greatly removes any hope of immersion from the game, and it doesn't achieve a sense of personalization or achievement. If you come into Castaway Paradise hoping to explore your creative thoughts, then be prepared for some disappointment, as the game does not offer any form of multiplayer both online and offline. There is no functionality of sharing island ideas or concepts at all, which could be a deal breaker if you're the kind of player who enjoys an immersive online community. The game does suffer from glitches that happen on multiple occasions, such as everything spawning when your avatar levels up, or quests completing themselves. Overall, this game had the potential to really excel, but sadly the few golden moments it does do right gets drowned out by all the clunky mistakes that could have been so easily addressed before launch. This lack of polish is not excusable, as the Steam edition of this game came out in 2015, which was 6 years ago. However, with all of this said, I really do hope that Stolen Couch Games releases a quality of life patch to improve on the game's most basic mechanics with the heavy price tag that it is. There is a game here somewhere, buried within the debris of sound design issues and bugs, but until these concerns are addressed, this game fails to compete with the more successful social simulation games out there. Castaway Paradise earns a disappointing 3 out of 10.